Welcome back to another episode of the Big DK Energy Podcast. My name is Danny K, or the DK in the Big DK Energy. And I decided to link up with one of my bros from a past life of mine. And speaking of linking, no, we're not talking about Zelda. We're talking about LinkedIn, the one that everyone calls the professional Facebook. Of course, social media kind of has a dour name nowadays due to some negative affiliations. However, when it is used for good, it can be used for wondrous things, such as networking and business opportunities. And my guest across from me here today has been delving into the world of LinkedIn and is here to help us with some tips to navigate said platform. With over 300,000 impressions on LinkedIn, introducing today's guest, Mr. Manny Chambless.
What's up? How's it going, man?
It's going great. How are you?
Doing well. This whole LinkedIn thing has been keeping me pretty busy, and I'm happy for it. But I'm excited to, let the audience know what's going on, why they should be on LinkedIn.
Excellent. So, LinkedIn, a professional Facebook, is that an accurate way of putting it, or is there something more that I'm not scratching the surface of?
From a bird's eye view, definitely that's what everyone thinks when they think LinkedIn. It's definitely just a place to find jobs, or it's a place where just CEOs are talking about their days and doing business things. And that's what I thought at first too. And recently there's been a huge shift from that mindset over to this is a page where you can write your own story. In my opinion, LinkedIn is becoming a place where it's more of like a home for blogs. And basically nowadays we only consume content basically in video form, whether it be on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, etc. And LinkedIn is basically the last stand for written content, in my opinion. It's a hub for people who want to create written content to inspire others with words rather than with videos. And it's a great spot for people to start building their personal brand to lead them down a path of success, whether it be getting a job that pays you more or helping people by sharing a good message, helping them in their day-to-day life, sharing tips and tricks about sales or anything that you come across in your daily life that someone may not be experiencing that you're learning from. It's a great place to share and, write a good story.
So what drew you to LinkedIn out of all of the social channels?
Yeah, so my whole journey started around 3-4 months ago. And essentially, I started a new role and I was working remotely and had some extra time. And I started going through LinkedIn and connecting with a lot of the people that I worked with.
So when you connect, do you literally just randomly go, hey, how's it going?
Yeah, that's how it first started. I really didn't put much thought into it. I saw someone who worked in my company, kind of had a similar role, connect. I didn't really think about it, but now I'm way more systematized. I'll get into that a little bit. So essentially the way it started, I came across someone at my company who in their bio said TEDx speaker. And my whole life goal has always been, since the first time I saw one, to give a TED Talk. And I recently applied for one, so fingers crossed we get it.
Oh, you just applied to be a TED Talker?
Yeah, TEDx. So TEDx is not the big TED stage. They invite people to speak at those. TEDx is independently organized, like you or I can organize one once we're approved and stuff. But I applied to speak at one. I want to get a good message out there.
So it's like the minor league of TED Talks.
Correct. That's a great way to put it, literally. Okay. The minor league of TED Talks. So I was connecting on LinkedIn and I met this person. They already given one. And pretty young. They work at the same company as me. And I was like, wait a minute, no way, this is actually possible. So I connected with them, DM'd them, hey, like, how'd you do it? All this stuff. And long story short, we basically found out that the best way to do it is start building a personal brand. Get involved on LinkedIn, start sharing your stories, start building a name for yourself. If you're doing something really great behind the scenes, who's really gonna care? If a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, what impact are you gonna make? So from there, I started posting and connecting with more people. And then one post really did it for me. I mentioned my favorite artist of all time. His name is Rafiq Anadol. I probably butchered his name. I still don't know how to pronounce it. And he's my favorite artist. But essentially, he created Arctic House in Miami, New York, and a few other places. He does a lot of art with AI and music and stuff. And I love him. I made a post and I mentioned him on LinkedIn. And he responded saying, thank you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And there was a time when I had no followers, no connections, nothing. I was like, wait a minute, there's something here. And yeah, that's kind of where it started. And then I kind of took it from there, started building my brand, started getting crazy with it, learning from a lot of people. And now we've crossed 300 something thousand impressions, about to be 400,000, a lot of new followers. I've had so many crazy stories about how I've helped people with what I've written that my whole life has changed completely in like 4 months.
Oh, wow. Well, mazel tov to you, man.
Thank you, my brother. Appreciate it.
Of course. So for you, what does it mean to build a personal brand? Do you just start like a Manny Chambless LLC? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So the whole personal brand thing is kind of like an ambiguous question. To define it is kind of like doing it injustice, I think. A personal brand is really just speaking up for what you stand for. You may stand for a whole lot of things, but if you don't actually go out there and start sharing them, who are you? Just another person walking down the street. But if you've built a name for yourself, whether it's you want to be the best guitar player in the world, and then you start showing people your journey in being a guitar player and how you learn differently from others, or if you're playing guitar so that you can help people do something. Like a good example of this would be like, you go on the streets and you play guitar and you see couples walking around and you go to them and you start like singing songs about them. You do that to make people's days better. So your personal brand is like, I make people's days better by playing guitar. It's just building something and building a name for yourself and building like, this name is more than a name. What does it mean? When you think of Danny K, what do you think? For now, I think photography, videography, podcast, you built a brand for yourself.
Okay.
For me, you might think LinkedIn, like TEDx, public speaking, and, you know, helping people out.
Up and coming LinkedIn guru, if you will.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. That's what we're hoping for.
Well, we're getting there slowly but surely. And other people seem to be following the journey as well. So when was the first time that someone completely random has personally messaged you to say, you've made a difference in my life due to your post?
I really could not tell you the first time. It's happened more times than I can count. And again, I've only been doing this LinkedIn thing for less than 4 months, and it's already uncountable how many people have said, wow, I just came across your profile, your posts. I love what you're saying. Keep it up. You're making an impact in my day. You're changing lives. Thank you so much. But the craziest one I've ever had, by and large, was this woman DM'd me and said, hey, my friend screenshotted your post, sent it to me, and because of that, I got it LinkedIn. And then like I went to her profile and I'm the only person she follows. She was like, yeah, you changed my life. Like, what a great post. Like, the way you think about life is really cool. That's the one I'll remember forever. That was crazy. It's been a lot of cool stuff like that happening. It happens really often, which is great. It's a nice little pat on the back, and it feels nice to know I'm making a difference.
Did you intentionally set out to make a difference when you went about this journey?
That's a great question. So once I connected with the person who worked at my company and I made that post to Rafiq and it all, I said, you know what? I'm going to start paving a way to give my TED Talk. And the original topic was supposed to be on tech. I love tech. That's what I do. And my involvement in it, I was going to talk about the future of tech and AI and stuff. And quickly I realized that my audience wasn't really enjoying that too much. It was really more of me sharing my personal stories. That's really what got people going. And that's when I started receiving those messages like, hey, you're changing lives. And then I was like, wait a minute, they like my personal stories more. I'm just a 24-year-old kid, you know? And then I kind of started shifting towards sharing my story, sharing more of myself, and talking about how, you know, mundane my life is, but like how different I am. Everyone goes through the same experience, whether it be at the grocery store or like learning guitar or like trying to start a podcast or something. Everyone goes through these experiences, but everyone has a unique experience doing it. And if you just share them, a lesson you may have learned, something that someone else hasn't said yet, maybe people will latch onto that and become a fan of yours. So it shifted from the whole tech space to then being more of like, how do you share your story? How can I help the person who is scared to hit the post button, hit the post button? And that's kind of what the shift has been in my personal brand and in what the TED Talk's going to be about.
Got it. See, I like that message that you're putting out there that you should not be afraid to post as long as it's within good judgment, of course. I mean, there are some times where, like, for example, there would be some people on a Facebook post of like some stupid thread and I'd want to comment on them. But of course, I wouldn't press post, but not because I'm not afraid to share my story. I'm just thinking that I don't need to catch any heat unless I necessarily need to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think social media as a whole has a pretty big negative connotation right now for a lot of people who just are on there to consume, like everyone is, where you kind of feel scared because, you know, you see all these people, you know, getting canceled and everyone just saying the wrong thing one time or a tweet popping up from back in the day destroying their careers. It kind of makes you feel insecure and a little weird to post. The best way I can think of combating that is give yourself a why, give yourself a reason, find your reason to make that post.
And if it's good enough, just let it happen.
Yeah, I really want to like focus on other people rather than myself in my posts. And I think that's always been the goal, is to help other people out with, you know, the things that I've learned, the things that I've experienced. And I think that if you lead with that kind of mindset where it's like, I'm making this to help other people, not to help myself, then it would be a lot easier to hit the post button. This is going to impact someone else's day rather than making my day. And that's kind of how I got over the initial fear of hitting the post button. Just kind of think about other people. And if this would maybe help them out, why not share it?
I like that, especially if they're helping people out. Whereas a lot of people are not afraid to post if it's like bashing other people, especially. You have to admit, there are idiots on social media, and that's just inevitable.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And the horror stories I've heard from women on LinkedIn about creeps from every end of the earth, like commenting on their stuff, messaging them, like it's crazy. And you'd think on LinkedIn it'd be way less, but I think it's almost more than like Instagram and stuff. It's wild.
I've kind of seen it. So I run the social media for a gun range, and there have been some risque comments that I've had to delete because some people just don't know about proper social media etiquette.
It's wild. It really is crazy to think that people just don't have the wherewithal to understand, like, this is something I wouldn't say in public. Why am I saying this online?
Keyboard warriors, they think they're safe behind the screen.
Yeah, for sure. I don't really know if there's a solution for that. I just think it's going to come with time. I hope, fingers crossed.
once, just bash down their doors and
Give them a stern talking to.
Yeah, exactly, in a very convincing way.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you seen any of these trolls on LinkedIn though?
Honestly, I'm in a few groups where we all bounce ideas off each other and basically like talk about the day on LinkedIn and like if anything funny's happened. And
So it's a sphere of positivity.
yeah. And I've only gotten it like one time where someone's like gotten mad at me for posting something.
Mad.
Yeah. Essentially, I mentioned Martin Luther King in a post because like it was people who inspired me and he's one of them. And someone got mad at me for using it.
What was their reason for getting mad?
I couldn't remember, but it was something wild. It was like, how dare you? And it was literally a positive post about how inspiring he is. And like, it was like him and two other people, I think, of like, these people inspired me and this is why. And I talked about them. And then someone said, you shouldn't like talk about him. I was like, no way. This is crazy. But I know people who have like less followers than me who are getting trolled crazy hard. And people are getting so mad at them. Like, it's wild for posting way safer stuff than me. So, I mean, it's the wild, wild west on social media still. While people, maybe making like a lot of money on LinkedIn or just social media as a whole and like making real careers out of it, it's still like not discovered yet, in my opinion. I think there's still so much for this.
Potential.
So much potential. Thank you. For all the platforms to grow, whether it be LinkedIn, Instagram, yada, yada, yada. I think they could all grow. And
what's a way that you can see LinkedIn growing?
I think right now it takes two routes. Since there's a whole wave of videos, I think there might be like some like shorts, like TikTok kind of portion of it, or like stories where you kind of like post a picture or something of your day or whatever. And that kind of feeds into like the norms, which is like what Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok are all going towards videos. But I think what they should do is allow creators like myself and all the other people I know to expand their platform and draw more people to it by making it better to launch careers out of writing in LinkedIn. And I don't think there's a concrete plan for it, but essentially a better algorithm that respects people who are doing new things and like pushing their content out more rather than like Fortune 500 CEOs, their content, kind of making it a safe space for new people and the younger people to post more and like kind of allowing them or giving them more tools to excel on LinkedIn. It's kind of like a philosophical way to think of it, but like let the young people who come into the platform, give them more benefits than people who are, been here for a while. Okay. And by that, you get more and more people joining the platform to write their stories and their like job hunt or like their story about their lives. And you grow a platform like that. I think it'd be a very interesting way to see a platform grow, not just shifting to video.
Yeah, not just becoming like a business channel for Video Hub or some sort.
Exactly.
Okay, so actually now that I think about it, you said people get paid for LinkedIn. Is there such thing as a LinkedIn influencer?
Yeah. So
I mean, obviously it's not like try the sports coat, it's great for you or something like that. It's not like that, right?
Essentially there is for sure. And I wouldn't put it in the same category as influencer, like normal.
That's why I asked.
TikTok or Instagram or anything like that where you promote brands and stuff. Although Waterloo, I really love your water. If you want to sponsor me, it'd be great. Maybe they get their first LinkedIn influencer to sponsor them, right?
Yeah, City of Orlando water. Delicious.
But yeah, like the way LinkedIn influencing works is a few ways. It's either you draw people to buy something from you that you've created. For me, I have courses that I make. So the only one I've made so far is a free one, which has done over 100 downloads, which is crazy. Thank you guys. And I'm working on more now. They're going to be paid courses that are going to be about writing hooks and about LinkedIn as a whole and how to like a masterclass on how to like really get involvement on LinkedIn. And
so like copywriting.
Exactly. Yeah. I know people who make livings on LinkedIn solely just from copywriting for others. So like ghostwriting people's profiles. What else? Ghostwriting people's profiles. People who have started their own companies through LinkedIn.
Ghostwriting, like the people who write for Drake?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like ghostwriting for people, ghostwriting for other people's profiles. Like, hey, I want to be big on LinkedIn. I have this company.
I don't know why, you saying ghostwriter, I can just imagine like two companies writing tracks about each other and then just posting it on LinkedIn. It's just like, which one do you think was more convincing?
It's wild. That could happen, There are people I know who really are making more money than you could ever imagine just writing content for CEOs, for people, for companies too, managing their social media profiles on LinkedIn. And it's wild. So that's like kind of like the route for LinkedIn influencers is writing or creating courses or starting a business and using your LinkedIn profile as like the marketing for it.
Okay, as like a medium for it.
Exactly.
Well, that's good to hear that people are getting paid as people, because recently I've been getting Facebook ads for like AI content written paragraphs. And I thought, wait a minute, people are getting so lazy to the point where they're going to have an AI write for them?
Yeah. One of the funniest things that has happened on LinkedIn in the last few months was, I forgot the name of the website. It might be LinkedInPostGenerator.com. And this page, it would basically tell you, type your name in and then pick level of cringe. And it goes from like 0 to like super cringe. And you can like just generate posts with AI just the cringiest stuff like you could ever imagine on LinkedIn. Like it's wild. You can put, it's like Mad Libs. You fill it in. It's like, what are you talking about today? Your boss. And it's like, what happened today? Something good. And then it'll like, something good happened with my boss today. They fired me. And it's like this whole thing.
Do people actually post these on LinkedIn?
Satirically, yes. I mean, honestly, I could definitely see people actually using it if they're really that lazy.
Oh no, it's gotten to that point. It's amazing what AI can do, but it also kind of scares me because we're kind of being a little too reliant on it.
Oh yeah. My whole thing with AI is I think we're not even scratching the surface on AI at all. I think it's going to be...
I think we're too afraid to because
yeah,
they're starting to learn things a little too quickly.
It's Pandora's box. What's going to happen in the next few years is going to be history books, really. With AI.
Well, hopefully it's not the history books of the cyborg starting and then humanity's downfall.
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, did you see Tesla's AI day? They unveiled like an actual working robot that's going to do humanoid stuff.
Oh, God.
Yeah. We're doomed, bro.
Yeah, we are doomed.
There's no coming back.
Well, it's okay. Just like I read this one time. Yeah, it was a Reddit thread. I don't care, though, because it said, dude, it's a robot. Just throw a cup of water on it.
Dude, that's the thing. We're at 1% of like the capabilities. So like we can just kick it over and it'll be like... It'll be over.
Correct. We just have to shut the power off.
Yeah, there's no robot that can take you or me right now.
That's right. This audio mixer that's capturing all the audio, that's all it can do, and we'll make sure to put it in its place if it thinks otherwise.
Oh yeah, if it starts growing legs, one time, that's it.
That's right. You got that tough Miami in you.
Yeah.
So you went to UCF. That's actually where we met. We were fraternity brothers, and so you decided to stay around the area.
My whole life, I've always been doing something different. I've always been either pushing the boundaries or, I don't know, just like trying new things. And I've always been one to like go out there and just put myself out there. And I think that's why,
just like you're doing on LinkedIn right now.
I think that's why it came so easy to me. It's because I've always been one to just try it and go for it and screw it. Let's see what happens. Usually, here's my thing. I usually get bored of stuff pretty easily. I really do. And there's only been a few things that have stuck with me: video games, guitar, and LinkedIn. For some reason, LinkedIn has stuck with me. I haven't gotten tired of it yet.
I'm glad to hear that because it sounds like you actually have a passion for it. Because I don't know, sometimes like we've had things that we've liked, but I don't know if passion is the word that we would describe it. Mm-hmm. But I see you as like the top post of my feed every day. So the algorithm is definitely working in your favor. Speaking of which, what are some ways that you can have LinkedIn work in your favor in terms of algorithm?
Yeah, so the algorithm is your friend until it's not. The best way to kind of make it your friend is by being honest.
Not too honest though, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't need to talk about your morning, like...
Your full morning routine. Yeah. Catch my drift?
Exactly. That was a perfect way to put it. Yeah, so just being honest is kind of like a huge thing for LinkedIn, and doing things that are new, invite people to kind of like comment. The best way to kind of get the algorithm in your favor is to create hyper relatable content and then funnel it down as the post keeps going. So
funnel it?
Essentially, you make a post with the beginning. You know how like every post you click on will have like 3 lines and you have to click see more to read the rest of it? Mm-hmm. So that part should be, that's called your hook. That part should be hyper relatable so that anyone, someone who works at a grocery store, someone who works for a football team, anyone can appreciate it. Something that'll draw them in. And then as the post goes on, it kind of tailors down to like the specific person you're talking to. So the whole post is super hyper relatable, and then at the end, it's kind of a call to action for your person.
So it's like, for example, man, my feet really hurt after a long day of walking. If you have bunions on your feet after walking 3.5 miles specifically, you should buy this foot massager. Is that kind of...
Yeah, so that's kind of like the bread and butter of it. The best way that I kind of like give an example of this is like math class. Most people that I know hated math class. Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like you kind of rate a hook about how math class was bad, and you kind of go over the whole school system kind of being bad as a whole in the post. And then near the end, you tailor it down to being like, are you a college student who wants to get noticed on LinkedIn more? Follow me. And then you're already talking about school. You're already talking about the school system's failing you. Every kid who's in college, if that's who you want to reach out to, pretty much thinks the same thing. They think, oh, I don't need school, or like school sucks. And then
it does.
Exactly. They want to find a good paying job. So you can write like, you want to find a good paying job on LinkedIn? I have the answers. Follow me and let's talk.
Awesome.
And then, so you've made a post that is really hyper relatable, and a lot of people will like it and comment with it because they agree with the first 2/3 of it. But in the end, you're asking specifically for your person to kind of reach out to you. And that's kind of how you make like posts. That's kind of like the trick to it. It's kind of make the funnel. I think of a funnel with everything. And once you start being more honest with people, sharing stories, selfies help a lot, by the way, and videos. Those really help for the algorithm. That's really going to push your content out there. And another huge piece is connecting with as many people as you humanly can. Don't go too overboard, like 10 to 20 days, fine. That's usually what you should aim for. Connect with them, talk to them, see if you can. And if, you know, you just make 1 to 10 connections a day, you start commenting on their stuff and they comment back, algorithm boosted every time. If you mention people you like in posts and they comment on your thing, their whole feed sees what you just did. and it just grows and grows and grows.
Well, that's good to know. For example, like how I see your stuff all the time, because it seems like you're very active on LinkedIn. It could be 3 a.m. in the morning, and yet your post would be at the top. That's physical proof that the algorithm is working in your favor, though.
Yeah, 3 big things: as being as honest as possible, connecting with a lot of people, and then basically inviting them to comment. Like you start commenting on their stuff, do that first. Start commenting on other people's stuff first, and eventually they'll notice that you comment a lot. They'll repay the favor, and then once they start paying the favor, now their whole network sees what you just posted. And if they want to get involved too, the algorithm starts pushing your content out even further and further and further away.
When is the honest cutoff?
As I said earlier, the purpose has to be to help other people or with other people in mind. So if you think that this post is just going to help you gain 1,000 likes, it's not worth it. If the post is something inspirational or something you've learned or a lesson that people can apply, share it in anything. So
even if it's a bad one?
Yeah, like a lot of people talk about how like some bad life experiences were like either they failed out of school or something, or like they like got into a fight with their parents, they left home early. But at the end of the day, it's like a whole thing where they learned a lot of lessons from that. And because of the lessons they've learned, they essentially have something to share that's a good lesson so that people don't make the same mistakes as them. So sharing your story, sharing your journey, like I messed up a lot when I was first writing. I wrote terrible posts, and sharing those kind of things so that other people don't make the same mistakes.
What was the most difficult thing you posted?
I don't think I posted anything too like...
I mean, only if you're comfortable.
Yeah, no, for sure. You can read them all. I don't think I posted anything bad like that. There's people who've posted like really like crazy stories and like stuff of their like real life experience. Like I can go into so many, but essentially one of my favorite people that I met on LinkedIn, her name is Maya, and she's given a TEDx speech. We talked about that a lot on like a quick call. And her story is how she was in the hospital for, God, I couldn't even tell you how many days, weeks, months, maybe years, honestly. I really can't remember now. It was a long time. And then she used this mental trick called visualization, and it was so powerful that she got invited to do a TEDx speech about it and her lessons and everything she's learned. And now she is running her own company, doing meditations with visualization. It's this whole crazy thing. And if she only thought that her post would help her, she would have done it. But now she knows that like her story was so crazy and she could help so many people get over what they're going through quicker. So she would decide to post, and she's reaping the benefits of it now. And she's impacting as many people as you could ever imagine. It's crazy.
Nice. And speaking of benefits, getting LinkedIn Plus, or the paid version of LinkedIn, what are some of the benefits of that? It
depends on the path you're trying to go down. There's Sales Navigator, which allows you to basically get a bigger insight into who's seeing your profile and stuff and who's going to be your target audience. How do you reach out to them? That tool is pretty helpful if you want to use LinkedIn in the normal, quote unquote, space, which is just like, I'm going to find more business connections. I'm going to find more ways to make money. With LinkedIn Premium, though, you can essentially see who's viewed your profile. So for instance, I have like 2,000 profile views over the last like few months, and I can only see that those people have viewed it. I can't see their actual names. So a friend of mine, Mikey, actually told me, get LinkedIn Premium. And then on LinkedIn Premium, you want to go click the profile views and see who's viewed your profile and message them. Say, hey, look, I know you came across my profile. Was wondering what kind of content you liked. If there's anything you want to see from me, how can I help?
Why do people look at a page?
Essentially, it's with the algorithm. They see your post first, they click into you and see like, what else is this guy writing about? What does he do? And It's just like an inquisitive thing.
Because I get some ads from some people that just seem like bots. And some people, it seemed like they're real people, which is nice. And I'm like, okay, this seems nice to get a connection. But like a lot of these seem like bots, and I don't like that.
Oh, yeah. Bots are the bane of my existence. It happens all the time. Always. Like my DMs are filled with bots, filled with them, constantly. People asking for money, people telling me about their latest and greatest product, people asking me immediately to get on a sales call to get something I didn't know I needed, like a toothbrush that dances. Well, there's so many things that people will try to take your money, and it's important to be vigilant with that and understand who's real and who's not. And usually I can sync that up pretty well.
Well, that's good. You probably have a bunch of experience in that field.
There's one time, though, that was pretty hilarious. I'll be honest. There was a time when, this was before I was good on LinkedIn. I had a guy send me like a job thing. He's like, oh, like, I would love, to hire you. I think you're great. I see all your experience. And essentially, I fell for it. And I was like, yeah, for sure, let's do it. I signed like papers and stuff that said I'm going to join this company. And this was during COVID when I couldn't really find a job. Mm-hmm. And I was so like, fire, I got a job. This is sick. And it was going to pay me a lot of money. And I was like, this is awesome. And then like the first week I had this job, it was basically just get on 2 calls. I got on these 2 calls, and one of them was like asking me to go put a check and like cash it in my bank account. And then I was like, no way, man. I really got finessed this hard. I'm deep into this job. I stopped looking for jobs because of this.
Oh no.
And the check came in and I was so scared to open it. I was like, there's no way that this is actually like...
It's laced with something.
That's what I thought. That's exactly what I thought. And then I opened it, whatever, with gloves on. That's how scared I was. And I looked at it and it was like a piece of paper. It was not a real check. And it said like the paper company. And it was this whole scam.
The paper company.
I swear. And I was like so embarrassed. I literally blushed. I was like, you're kidding me. I really fell for this that hard. And then I looked through all these Reddit threads and everything about how that's like a real scam. And I was like, I stopped looking for jobs. So You have to be hyper vigilant. There's bots. There's people who are going to try to take advantage of you at any turn, especially on LinkedIn if you're pretty active there. So I always keep your eyes out. Open.
Yeah, I mean, that absolutely sucks that they're totally taking advantage of people in that desperate situation.
Exactly. And during COVID, it was like hard as hell to get a job. So yeah, it was weird. But here we are, better than ever.
Yeah.
I no longer work for the paper company.
And now you're making LinkedIn your pet.
Yeah, I'd like to think that. I like to think more of it's my homie.
Okay, that's a good way of describing it. There's a mutual beneficiary relationship.
I don't think I'm a master yet, but the way I think of LinkedIn, and this is like for everyone who is scared to get on LinkedIn and for everyone who is maybe debating it, LinkedIn is a giant learning circle. It's a place where you can learn as you teach and teach as you learn.
Aren't there courses on LinkedIn as well that you can access?
Tons. I bought one my first week of getting on LinkedIn. I bought an $150 course from my favorite creator, Justin Welsh. I kind of like said, I'm going to do this thing for real. Let's buy an expensive course and get after it. The most helpful course I've ever bought. Essentially, LinkedIn is a huge learning circle where you can teach people and learn at the same time. So how do you do that? You follow a topic that you really, really enjoy. Let's say it's copywriting. You go to the LinkedIn search bar, you type in copywriting, you follow the top 10 creators, and you basically watch what they do every day. They'll post free tips, they'll post their free resources, exactly what they did to start. So many free tips. You can scroll through all their content. What you do from there is you go to their posts that you really like, you go to the comment section, you see other people in their taglines who'll say copywriter, SEO, anything you're interested in, follow them. Your whole feed now, every time you log into LinkedIn, every single day, because most people post every single day in the week, they'll write out posts of their top tips, their top resources, everything you need to get started. Once you've followed them, you kind of learn how they write, you learn what they do, then you kind of start like picking it up. You start posting. And what you do is you make content for someone who is in your shoes when you first didn't follow those people. You write your process, you write your unique story, and boom, you're going through the circle. Another way to look at LinkedIn is as a staircase. This is my favorite analogy ever. And you start at zero with no posts, no connections, no followers. How do you reach the top of a staircase? Everyone has a different goal, whether it be 1 million followers, a ton of money, or you want to impact the most people, or get on a TEDx stage like me. Essentially, how you do that is you use that learning circle. You start learning as you teach, and then you kind of move up. You've got a lot of followers. Now you make content for the person who's one step behind you, someone who wants to get to where you are. You do that by following people who are a few steps ahead of you.
So it's like almost like not a paper trail, but a trail of information that's that's kind of being recycled as not kind of a circle of life, but you know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's absolutely.
This is how I see it too, now that you mentioned it. For most people, they got to take it step by step. But once you get a bunch of followers and whatnot, you get that little chair thing that old people ride the stairs up. And so I feel like at first you start by climbing up and then you eventually get that little help to get you to the top.
That's a perfect way to put it, Danny. Seriously. That's exactly it. Once you've gotten your footing and you understand how to post, how to connect, what does the best, what doesn't do good for your niche, it's a pretty smooth ride up. It's not really like you're not stuck on a step. It's basically just cruising up.
Nice.
It's really cool.
Do you think you found your niche?
Yeah. So my niche is just new creators. Anyone who wants to start on LinkedIn, anyone who's maybe scared to hit the post button, has a good story to share, or, just wants to kind of spread their wings and fly on a new platform that isn't TikTok or YouTube or, Instagram, then I'm your guy. I'm the guys that help you start. There's a lot of things that you can learn off rip, and there's a ton of people who are going to tell you this, like, different things. But I find like 3 key ingredients that have like helped everyone I work with. So it's crazy.
And, you said to follow the top 10 creators of whatever topic that you search out for. Who are some of your favorite creators that you follow?
My favorite, by and large, is Justin Welsh. He is, in my opinion, the grandfather of LinkedIn. He has 300,000 followers, and he's been doing it every day for like 4 years, I think. And in 4 years, he's amassed that many. And in LinkedIn terms, it may not seem like a lot. If you think in Instagram, the Kardashians have 200 million apiece, right?
Yeah. Well, who cares about them?
Yeah, exactly. If you look at it, I kind of think it's divided by 10. So if this person were on LinkedIn or on Instagram, it'd be 2 million. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of how I look at it. So for me on Instagram, probably only like 30,000, which is still crazy compared to everyone else, but at the same time, there's still people who have millions, right? So I have a long way to go. But Justin Welsh is my favorite creator. He is he is so good at what he does. He is perfect. Like, he's the only person you need to follow for anything LinkedIn. This is like, he has everything down, all of his stacks, all of his like technology he uses. He gives everything away for free. Another one is Alex Hormozy.
We've definitely heard about him, especially Brody Vincent mentioned him on the show.
Me and him talked about that. He's the best. He's awesome. He gives everything away for free. He doesn't sell anything to anyone, which is the best part about people. If you have a ulterior motive where you want to sell something, it kind of feels like not disingenuous.
And it kind of comes out in the pitch.
Yeah, exactly. So he is someone who doesn't pitch at all. He just tells people, this is what he did, and this is how you can apply it. That's it. No ulterior motive. It's just, this is it. And that's why I like him the most. Some of my friends who are really, really cool creators, Niall Cleaver, he is the best. He taught me a lot of what I know about LinkedIn, and me and him talk all the time. He's in the UK. Great guy, super helpful, and is willing to help anyone who talks to him. There's a lot. My friend David Lasowski, I mentioned him on Brody's podcast. He is the best when it comes to videos. He taught me how to do everything video A to Z. He forced me to make my first video, and now I want to start doing this thing like really hard. So I owe a lot to him. If you want to start videos or doing video creation on LinkedIn or Facebook or anywhere else, he's your go-to guy. David Lasowski.
Lasowski, got it.
Yeah.
Very Polish last name.
Exactly. We could do this thing for hours. I have so many good friends that I met on LinkedIn, and that's like another huge piece of it, where it's like a lot of my friends in Orlando do the same stuff, where they're all like in a sales role, or they do like things that I'm not really crazy like interested in. Not to put any of my friends to shame, but like, you know, it's nothing really like pushing the needle forward in life, you know? And that's kind of where I've always wanted to be. I've always wanted to be surrounded by people who are like changing their lives or helping others change their lives. That's always been like where I want to be, or where I see myself. Being in a group of people or with a company or something that really impacts people as a whole. And in Orlando, I don't really see that too often. So I'm going to be moving to Austin at the end of this year. So.
Hey, congratulations.
Yeah.
I've been in Austin. It's a beautiful place over there.
Unreal place. I fell in love with that city the day I landed there. It was awesome. Everything about that city is perfect. It is a dream come true. So I'm moving out there in 10 months-ish.
And then you'll be able to spread your LinkedIn virus over there. Well, that was actually a bad way of putting it, but you know, and for good reasons.
Yeah, a lot of the good creators I follow live there too, so it's pretty wild.
And it's also a lot of tech is out there, I assume.
Ton of tech. All of the companies I really love and admire since I've been, this tall, all are out there.
What is tech? Because, I always hear people saying tech, but does it mean like, are you fascinated about robots? Are you fascinated about the microchips in the robots? Are you fascinated with the copper wires within the microchips that makes the robots work? Or
yeah, for me personally, I think tech is all about pushing humans forward. It used to be a time where
not to extinction like we were talking about before, right?
Yeah, not like that, but I think it's helpful, how tech helps us. Like, we wouldn't be able to have this conversation and share it with the world if it weren't for tech.
You know what? You're right. Yeah, because this mixer, these microphones,
this is all due to tech. And I think the symbiotic relationship between humans, robots, or humans and technology, whether it be this mixer, these microphones, that computer, all is what's going to help humans progress forward. The fact that we have the internet is mind-boggling. If you really think about it, 30 years ago, we couldn't talk this crazy. We couldn't share these TikToks. We wouldn't know any of the craziest news this fast without the internet,
Yet we're literally watching a war on TikTok.
Wild, literally. If you ask someone, it's crazy. The fact that you're watching a war happen on TikTok, you can see the wildest stuff on your phone immediately. This has more power than the spaceship that took people to the moon, if you believe it, in 1969. Isn't that bananas? It's bananas. This right here, this is priceless.
And then also the time from humans to get from any kind of vehicle that wasn't moving to the first flight in North Carolina. And then it was maybe 50 years until the space shuttle went into the space.
It's crazy. And we're at a time now where it's so important people to at least give it a shot, Give tech a shot, give social media a shot, because there's so many opportunities.
I don't think people can even have the luxury to say they can give it a shot anymore. It's almost mandatory.
Yeah, great way to put it, man. There's too many ways for people to make money on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and it's not even about the money. There's so many ways to do things that you wouldn't think otherwise that are outside of your 9 to 5.
Like to innovate and whatnot?
Yeah, to innovate and push the needle forward in human advancement. Whether it be the first person who ever started a podcast. It was just that person. I don't know who it is. I really don't know. You probably do. But
actually, I don't
have a clue. But they just really had a conversation and recorded it and put it on the internet.
And then we're wondering someone else listened to it. They feel less lonely.
Yeah. And now we're here. It's crazy.
There are 2 million listed podcasts out there in the ether, but only 40% of them are active.
Isn't that crazy? Mm-hmm. That's why I love tech so much. I love seeing how we progressed from, playing Super Nintendo to now being able to put on a VR headset and feel like I'm Mario, or,
that'd actually feel bad if you were like in like a war game and it's like, oh my God, I felt like I got shot. And
yeah, like we're moving so fast, and it's always been my goal to play a part in that, and it still is. That's just on the back burner now. I just think I'm so, like, I love watching it. I love watching it happen. I love watching the transition. I love watching everything that Tesla unveils. I love seeing the newest video game consoles come out. I love seeing the newest innovations in flight and cars and everything. I think it's crazy.
Lake Nona actually has like a taxi / hoverport or some sort being built there or something like that.
What?
I don't know what it is exactly, but it's pretty nuts.
Wow.
And it's only 30 minutes away from here. In fact, Lake Nona, it's supposed to be like an up and coming like tech area. So,
yeah, I hope so. That'd be really cool. If they did it within the next year, I'd probably stay here. But,
Oh, true. Yeah, because you are moving. But that is a good place to check out. I mean, really, it's still up and coming in terms of like land development and whatnot. But there are some big prospects in terms of tech is supposed to be happening out there.
That's really cool. Yeah, Lake Nona's cool. I've been out there a few times. I really do enjoy it there.
It's barren, but it's only because it's in its small beginnings.
Have you been to Boxy Park over there?
I have, yeah.
I love that spot. So
yeah, it's
I definitely think it has potential.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we head into the bonus question round thing, is there any other tips or tricks for LinkedIn that you want to leave?
The biggest thing I'll say is share your story. Everyone has one. No matter if you think you're not the best creator out there, if you're not the best at something, everyone has a unique experience, whether it be how you learn guitar, how you turned a rug into a cooler rug, or how you created your own shoe from scratch. Anything you think someone can latch onto or you can help someone with, share it. I don't care where. LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, whatever it may be. If you want to write about it, I'm your guy. LinkedIn is the best. I think LinkedIn is so cool. You can write a lot of things out. I like writing because you have time to think. You don't really have to be like so on the spot, especially with TikTok and stuff. But yeah, man, if you have a story to share that's just going to help even one person out, why not share it, And if it sucks, you log out of the channel and you never look back. Try it out. And
no harm, no foul.
Exactly. Try it out. See if it's for you. I think it really is for everyone. You just have to kind of get over that initial hump of hitting the post button. And if you're still scared, follow me. I'm the person who's going to help you get there.
All right, so we'll just take a little bit of a break if we need to, and then we'll go into the bonus question round. Well, Mr. Chambless, thank you so much for sharing a bit of your story, and we're going to find out a bit more of just you in general in my favorite part of any Big DK Energy episode, which is the bonus question round. 10 questions that you do not know about, however, none of it is malicious, and you will still have a job afterwards. So, with that being said, are you ready, Mr. Chambless?
Yeah, as ready as I can be, I guess.
All right, excellent. So, question number 1. You're finally given the chance to give a TED Talk. What's the subject, and where is it taking place?
Great. Yes, when I first started LinkedIn, I always thought that it was going to be tech because, as I just said, I'm the biggest tech junkie. I think it's so cool to watch humans progress forward with tech, in love with it. But as I started posting about it on LinkedIn and I started posting my story, people were always like more interested in that and hearing just like my regular life and the cool things that I learned, the really weird, intricate things I learned from random experiences. A lot of which come from grocery stores, talking with people. One of the craziest ones I had was at LA Fitness. It's one of my biggest posts. It was about the guy who I walked in every single day. He was a salesman, and every day without knowing my name, he would just point at me and say hi. And that was me sharing my story. And I talked to him about it, and he was like, thank you. It was a whole thing. My TED Talk would be the power of sharing your story. And the fact that now we only consume 1% of the content in the world. Like the top 1% of people is all we see. The best video game players, best guitar players, the best engineers. We only see the best of them. That's what gets the most views. That's what the algorithm pushes out the most. I think it's so important. No matter where you are in your life, no matter what you do, if you can help someone out with your story, share it for sure. So my whole TED Talk would be about the power of sharing your story and why it's important, no matter what you do, to just put yourself out there and try. And why not?
And where would it take place?
Yeah, sorry.
You're good.
I got caught up in all that. If it could take place anywhere, it'd be really cool to do one back home in Miami. To be fair, I really don't like Miami that much. I'm not a huge fan of that place anymore.
Parking's there sucks.
The worst. Traffic, worse than Orlando.
Especially on 995 during rush hour. No.
Unbelievable. So there were so many reasons for me to leave, and I'm so happy I left. I left Miami when I was 18 to come to college, and I'm happy I'm not looking back. But it'd be cool to do like a hometown kind of thing where I came back and I followed all my dreams. I succeeded. I did everything I said I was going to do.
You're going back to where it all started.
Exactly. So
great subject and a great reason to be back where it's taking place. Mm-hmm. So question number 2. You're having coffee with 3 of your most influential figures that aren't friends or family. Who are they?
Can they be dead or alive?
They can be both. Oh, and what is one piece of wisdom you gained from each of them?
Bob Marley, we're number 1 every time. I love reggae music so much. The enlightenment that man has in his music and in his life and, his way of living, I want to learn from that. So Bob Marley, influential piece, he'd probably tell me is how to live a better life be less materialistic, live a life that impacts more people and, kind of puts me on the right path. As far as like professionally, I think it'd be cool to meet Gary Vaynerchuk. He's another one of those guys. A lot of people kind of give him hate because they don't really know him too well. They think he's just some success entrepreneur, which is a term I think I coined, to be honest. Patent pending. But he really doesn't have anything to sell either, rather than he sells books, which is cool. I mean, you buy books, you like authors. Why don't you like this guy who just posts a lot on social media? The way he's come up and the way he thinks about tech in the future, mixed in with social media, I think aligns with me perfectly. So learning about him and where he thinks social media is going to go, give me some insight into like what the next few years have in store and where I should be putting a lot of my talents, I think would pay off really well. I love everything he puts out, how inspiring he is. Super big fan of his. Ralph Lauren. So when I was growing up, I was a huge clothing junkie. I loved clothing as much as I like tech. Honestly, they're neck and neck. And clothing was really a huge thing for me. I loved everything clothes. And then for some reason, I got really into Ralph Lauren when I was in high school. It was when everyone wore. So I got into it. When I started applying to jobs out of college, the first company I thought of applying to, Ralph Lauren, every single time. I love that company. So it would be really cool to kind of just understand like how he did what he did, learn the real backstory of what it takes to make a strong company and the stuff that he's learned living in New York. And I think when he originally started, he got like ties. He got like 10 ties stitched on the logo and walked into Macy's and said, "Hey, sell these." And then they did.
That's
and
awesome.
The rest is history. So I think it'd be really cool to learn from like that big of a change from like walking into a place with like a box full of ties to now one of the biggest clothing companies ever
In the world, yeah.
Ever.
Want to know a fun fact? His real last name is Lifshitz.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm Jewish, and bar mitzvahs, normally there's a theme that goes with like the centerpieces for every table, and so mine were famous Jews, and so I think Ralph Lauren was one of the tables for like, art or clothing or something like that.
That's awesome.
Whereas like, for music, we had Gene Simmons from Kiss.
That's sick.
So
that is such a cool theme, man. That's
Thank
awesome.
you, I appreciate it. Number 3, if you can download all of the knowledge of one book and have it on hand for any time you need it, what book would that be?
Wow. That's crazy. That's a great question, man. I wish there was like a textbook about everything, just like a textbook textbook of knowledge. I would just do that. I read books a lot, and I don't think there's like an actionable book ever where it's like, these are exactly what you need to do. It's a tie between two of my favorite books. My favorite book of all time is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
That's a great book.
I love that book. I used to be a huge reader in elementary school, middle school. I was like leagues ahead of everyone else I was reading against. I love reading. And that's why I like LinkedIn so much. I've always loved writing, reading, all that stuff. And recently, like 2 years ago, I tried getting into reading again because I kind of stopped during college. And
Yeah, me too.
the first book I picked up was that one because the title was sick. I was like, this is going to be cool. I read it, and then there's like a story in there. And I remember I'm sitting in my bed reading this book, and I couldn't put it down after like a day. And I'm reading it, and there's a story about him as a kid wearing a Pantera t-shirt and like with long hair. And I had longer hair too then. And I literally looked down, I'm wearing my Pantera shirt.
Oh my God.
And I was like, this is amazing. This is perfect. So then fell in love with that book. But all the lessons in there are fantastic. I would love to just have those on hand all the time. And then tied with my other favorite book, which is The Storyteller's Secret by Carmine Gallo. He also has another book called Talk Like Ted, which I haven't read yet, but it's all about like influential speakers and what they've done and why their speeches matter and what they've done to give those speeches and like what makes a good speech a good one. And for my TED Talk, I think it'd be great to have all that information right here.
That's very smart.
Oh.
No, you're good. You're good.
Dude, I thought I broke it.
No, you're good. Number 4, what's a story that has moved you to become a better person?
I'll say, I mentioned her earlier, but Maya Rayshora, I probably messed up your name if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. But her story about her fight, I forgot the disease she had. I'm butchering this whole story. But she essentially was in hospital for so long, and her fight was so crazy. And she gave her TEDx speech, and I watched her whole TEDx speech about power of visualization, the trick that she used to kind of snap herself out of it and kind of fix her body mentally. It was the most eye-opening thing I'd ever seen. How that video does not have 1 million views yet is mind-boggling to me. And I've met her through video, and she is an amazing human being. And if you haven't watched it, Maya Rayshora, TED Talk, it is unbelievable. It is such a good story, and it's really, really impactful. And she told me about what happened after and how many people came up to her talking to her about like how impactful she was to them. The most impactful stories, in my opinion, are the ones that are like basically right there that you can touch. Like stories that are like relatable and stories that are like you actually know the person giving it, or like stories that are not so far-fetched, out there from like creators you don't really know. But the fact that I met her and I've talked to her and I understand where she's coming from and I understand the whole story has made such a huge impact on me. So
I'm definitely going to check that out as I edit the next episode. So
Yeah.
Number 5, dream vacation and itinerary.
Ireland.
Ooh, okay.
I've always wanted to go to Ireland so bad. I don't know why. My mom went when she was in high school, and she told me about how amazing it was, all the castles and stuff. And growing up, I'm a huge Zelda guy. I've loved castles. I've loved Skyrim, everything. So I've been a big medieval castle guy. I just finished Game of Thrones, actually.
Okay, I still need to catch up with House of the Dragon, so...
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of it so far.
Really?
Honestly. I know. I want to get into it. But the thing is, my friends put it perfectly. I just finished Game of Thrones, and now I'm watching House of the Dragon, and it's like, that show is so amazing that this show needs to develop to become amazing, and it's like a letdown, because I'm expecting a season 9, essentially, but it's not. So I'll give it time.
And also, there's a bunch of places from Game of Thrones that was filmed in Ireland, too.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
Number 6, your rap career sees a rebirth. You have 2 of your favorite rappers featuring on the track. Who are they?
Wow. That's a great question. So yeah, I used to make music, and that's one of them. I used to rap. Fun as hell while it lasted, might I add. That was awesome. That time during college was so much fun. By and large, my favorite rapper of all time, Childish Gambino.
Okay.
100%.
Bring him out of retirement.
I love him, bro. He is the best. Tied with him, though, because Childish Gambino doesn't make music I like anymore, to be honest. His last album, horrible. The one before that, okay. But because of the internet, I have a vinyl of it. My favorite album ever made of any artist ever. So he would be one. And then, second one, who would it be? Okay, so if you actually listen to the song, there's it sounds very similar to the artist Bones, if you've heard of Bones before, or Suicide Boys, if you've heard of them.
I've heard of them.
So if I could have a mashup of 3, it'd be those groups.
Okay, we'll allow it.
So technically it's 4. Suicide Boys is 2 people. So Suicide Boys...
It's one entity, so we'll count it as one.
Suicide Boys, Bones, I love them. That's like the E-boy in me. I love them so much. And then Josh Gambino.
Wait, not like Bones of Bones Thug and Harmony, right?
No,
okay, never mind.
Bones, he's like a tall, skinny white man, and he has super long hair. He just...
Okay, never mind.
Very much... He looks like the Grim Reaper. That's exactly what he looks like. And he writes music like the Grim Reaper. And I love him. So, Bones, Suicide Boys, Josh Gambino.
I'd be blasting that track through Orange Avenue, no problem.
Yeah.
Number 8. If you could eat one kind of food forever, what would it be? But here's the catch. You have to eliminate one kind of food forever as well.
One food forever, bro. I feel like I get tired of steak too easily. I love steak, but I get tired of it immediately.
So that's axed out.
I have to get like a complex meal. So like, okay, this is kind of cheating. Would I get? Could I pick like Chipotle and get like a new bowl every day?
Yeah.
Okay, so the best place on earth is called Cava. It's one in Winter Park. Mm-hmm. You been there?
No, I have not actually.
You gotta try it, Danny K. I mean, this thing is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. This place, it's crazy. Cava, C-A-V-A. It's unreal. It's like Chipotle but Mediterranean style, and prices is as good as Chipotle, if not better. And it's divine. I can't put it into words. So if I could eat any food for the rest of my life, it'd be whatever the hell they call it from Cava. The bowl's from Cava.
Okay.
The real answer though, probably pizza. I love pizza too much. So Lazy Moon pizza. God, that is the best. Okay. Lazy Moon pizza or Cava. And if I had to eliminate a food, I can do without sushi. I love sushi. I love sushi, but whatever. If I never had sushi again, he told me, hey, you eat that, you're gonna die. I'll never eat it again. Don't worry. Don't you worry. I won't be too heartbroken. So
yeah, exactly.
Sushi.
I'll just eat a thing of salmon and rice separately.
Yeah.
Without any seaweed.
Yeah.
Man, we're having such a good time. We're already at the last question. And it's a question that I ask everybody, but all the answers vary, just like people's story. And that is, what is your best, most recent accomplishment?
My best and most recent accomplishment are one and the same. It's LinkedIn. This whole LinkedIn thing. To sum this whole thing up, man, in less than 4 months, my life has changed exponentially. I was a kid who was working a job. That was it. I met some people on LinkedIn. I changed my life. I started posting about my story. I now have 3,000 some odd followers, people who are DMing me saying I'm changing their lives. I'm sharing stories from my life that are just mundane, but there's a lesson to be learned, Stories about my life and how I taught myself how to play guitar, funny quips about tech and stuff, and I'm just being myself on there. And that's really all that's happening. I'm sharing my life, I'm sharing my story, and that is the best thing ever because people are latching onto it, people are loving it. I'm meeting so many cool people. I'm coaching people now on LinkedIn. I'm creating courses to help people out. There's so many things that I'm doing now that are helping other people, and that's what I set out to do is just help other people. That it's crazy. It's been the best 4 months of my life, hands down. I wouldn't change it for the world. I cannot wait to see where this whole thing goes. This is easily the biggest accomplishment I've had in my life, easily, and the fastest, which is bananas to even think. This is my second podcast ever, and I would have never thought, if you asked me 5 months ago, would I be doing a podcast ever? I'd be like, why me? But now I'm like, why not me? I hate the word mindset, I really do. I've used it a few times today, but I hate that word. But it really is this huge shift of like perspective where it's like, you only got one life, man. Do it. If you have a cool story to share and you want to change someone's life, you're just too scared to hit the post button. Like, you really don't want to change someone's life. So change someone's life today. Be a better person. Post on whatever it is. Tell your story. Share your story, because no matter how mundane you may think it is important. It is important that everyone has a voice and everyone has something to share. Everyone can get their opinions out. And it's a great exercise. It's a great meditation to just write yourself and see what sticks and if people like it.
Excellent.
That's my biggest accomplishment so far.
Well, Manny, that was quite a lot, especially for 3 to 4 months. And that was a great wrap up of what's been going on in your life. And speaking of wrapping up, we're actually at the end of the show. Manny, again, thank you so much for coming on. I know we're only your second podcast, so we're not as cool as Profession Session being your first, but we're honored to have you on the show. And for spreading all your knowledge about LinkedIn and sharing your story to every one of the audience members. That is why I think you, Manny Chambless, have big DK energy.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks
so much. So as we are wrapping up this show, we're going to put all of his links in the description box below, LinkedIn, Instagram, any kind of courses. And before we head out, Manny, is there anything else you want to say or promote?
Yeah. Again, to kind of wrap this whole thing up, man, you have a story. Everyone does. We talked about it off air. You have a crazy, cool story. Everyone does. No matter how unimportant you may think it be, the one thing I can leave you all with is share your story, because it will change the world. Even if it's one person, you're changing someone else's life. If you want to impact someone else, do it. Don't talk about it, be about it, you know? So for me, I coach people on LinkedIn. I help people reach their goals on LinkedIn, whether it be gaining more followers, spreading a better message, fine-tuning their posts, writing for them, showing them what works, what doesn't, and, you know, breaking down their posts, reviewing it for them. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. That's taking a lot of my time. I create courses when I have the time. I'm working on a course right now to create better hooks. Those 3 first lines you see at every post. 2 if you have a picture. And that should be out pretty soon. Takes a lot to write that and do coaching and do a job and live a social life all at the same time. So bear with me, but it is going to be out soon. And then after that, I'm working on a masterclass, which is going to be basically everything I go on my coaching sessions, just a little bit more in depth. And it's going to be, you know, recorded so you can see the whole thing, watch it, and watch me do what I do. Those should be coming out pretty soon. But yeah, thank you for having me again. I really do appreciate it.
Of course, Mr. Chambless.
Yeah.
And with that all being said and done, I'm Danny K of the Big DK Energy Podcast, and we are signing off.
Thank you.